All right, let's get right into it. We've got a story for you today that's got everything. A global threat, a hero you'd never expect, and a scientific mystery that could totally change the way we do farming. And it all kicks off with a really big problem.
You know, every single year, farmers all over the world are fighting these invisible enemies hiding in the soil. We're talking about pathogens that can just wipe out an entire harvest, putting our food supply at risk. And one of the toughest of these foes loves to attack a crop we all know.
Yeah, we're talking about a disease that is so destructive, it is a constant, uphill battle for farmers. Let's really dig into what we're up against here.
So, the villain of our story is something called tomato bacterial wilt. It's caused by this nasty little pathogen, Ralstonia solanacerium. And yeah, let's just call it Ralstonia. It sneaks into the plant's roots, clogs up its whole system, and basically makes the plant wilt and die from the inside. It is fast, it is brutal, and the amount of damage it does, it's just staggering. Just look at that number. In fields that get hit with this, we're talking yield losses anywhere from 60 to a completely devastating 100%. I mean, think about that. Entire fields of tomatoes just gone. So obviously, we need a much better way to fight back.
And this is where our story takes a really cool turn. Because the solution? It doesn't come from a fancy lab or a chemical factory. No, it comes from this little guy, the larva of the black soldier fly. Yep, it's a maggot. And it turns out it's an absolute champion when it comes to recycling.
The whole process is called bioconversion. It's simple. You give these larvae organic waste, stuff like chicken manure or old food scraps, and they just do what they do best. They eat. And while they're eating, they transform that waste into two super valuable things, insects' protein and something called frass. Frass is basically, well, it's their poop. But it's not just waste. It's like agricultural gold.
And the whole process is really elegant. The larvae eat, you collect their frass, it gets composted to make it stable, and what you get at the end is this high-quality bioorganic fertilizer, or BOF for short. So you're turning a huge waste problem into an amazing resource. But you know, the million-dollar question is, does it actually work against a killer disease like bacterial wilt?
Well, that's exactly what researchers wanted to find out. They set up a really careful experiment to see if this fertilizer made by maggots could actually protect tomato plants from our villain, Ralstonia.
And wow, this picture tells the whole story, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the control group. These plants were in regular soil, they got exposed to the pathogen, and you can see they're completely devastated. But on the right, those plants were grown in soil mixed with the frass fertilizer. They got hit with the exact same pathogen, and just look at them. They are healthy. They are thriving. The difference is absolutely incredible.
And if you want a number to go with that picture, get this. The frass fertilizer had a biocontrol efficacy of 81.8%. That means it didn't just help the plants grow bigger, it actively protected them, stopping the disease in its tracks in over 4/5 of the plants. That's huge.
Now, this is a total game changer for tomato growers, for sure. But the power of this fertilizer isn't just limited to one crop. Researchers are finding it has all sorts of benefits, even for other really valuable plants. Take coffee, for example. In another study, a liquid version of this fertilizer was sprayed on coffee seedlings. And you can see right here on the chart, the frass spray made the stem significantly thicker and stronger. So it's not just fighting disease, it's actively promoting healthier growth. Okay, so we've seen that it works. But now we get to the real mystery. How does it work?
And this is where the science gets really cool. The scientists' first guess was pretty logical. They thought the beneficial microbes in the fertilizer were the ones fighting off the bad guy. So they set up an experiment to prove it, and the results were something they never saw coming.
So here's where the story just takes a wild turn. They tested the regular fertilizer, right, and got that awesome 81.8% efficacy. But then they tested a version that they had completely sterilized. They killed all the microbes in it, and the result? It still had a 75.8% efficacy. It was almost just as effective. And that was the bombshell. It meant the living microbes in the fertilizer weren't the main heroes after all. Something else was going on.
This just completely changed the game. I mean, if you're not adding a new army of good guy microbes to fight the battle, then what on earth is happening in that soil to make it so tough against disease? Well, the answer actually came from the researchers themselves, and it all boils down to one simple word: assist. They realized that the other stuff in the fertilizer, the non-microbial parts, they weren't fighting the battle directly. Instead, they were assisting the microbes that were already in the soil, helping them form a powerful first line of defense.
So here's the key idea.
And it's a great way to think about it. The fertilizer isn't an army of new soldiers. It's more like a coach. It's not bringing in outside players. Instead, it's training, feeding, and organizing the home team, the soil's native microbes, and turning them into an elite defensive unit that can shut down invaders like bacterial wilt.
So how does this coaching actually work? Well, first, it increases the diversity of the microbes that are already there, which makes the whole soil community more stable. Second, it specifically encourages the good guys to multiply, bacteria that act like bodyguards for the plant's roots. And third, it triggers those good microbes to start pumping out their own defensive weapons, compounds that suppress the pathogens directly. It's not just adding a temporary fix, it's building a fundamentally healthier soil.
Okay, so what's the big picture here? Why does all this matter? Well, this isn't just some neat science experiment. This approach could have massive implications for how we think about waste, about soil health, and about the future of sustainable farming. What we're looking at is a perfect example of a circular economy in action. You start with organic waste that would normally be thrown in a landfill. Tiny insects, our little farmers, upcycle it into a fantastic biofertilizer. That fertilizer then helps us grow healthier crops and reduces our need for chemical fertilizers, which in turn means less waste and a cleaner system. It's this beautiful, self-sustaining loop.
So let's just quickly recap the big ideas here. We've got this amazing natural process that turns a massive waste problem into a solution. This fertilizer doesn't just make plants grow better, it helps them fight off devastating diseases, all without harsh chemicals. And the secret sauce is that it doesn't just add good microbes, it coaches the soil's own native community to be stronger and more resilient.
And that really leaves us with one final big thought. You know, we're always looking for these huge, complicated, high-tech fixes for the world's problems. But maybe, just maybe, one of the most powerful tools for feeding our future has been right under our noses the whole time, working tirelessly as the world's tiniest and most overlooked farmers.